Good afternoon and welcome to this week's episode of 101 Sports Webcast. I'm Matt Holzaffel.
And I'm Andrew Vandellis. We have a fantastic show for you today, but first Matt and I step into the batter's box for the 3 strikes.
In a trend that has continued into the postseason, the sluggers keep on slugging. With home runs at an all-time high, some are wondering what is going on with the pitchers. Pitchers are responding there's something different about the ball, but they don't know what's wrong. Andrew, with home runs lagging just a few years ago, did the MLB juice the balls to increase the excitement and popularity this year?
No, not at all. It's just become a hitter's league. And you look back at this last season, over 5,700 home runs overall throughout the league, setting a new record in history. And it's the rise of new power hitters like Aaron Judge, and you see Giancarlo Stanton with 59 home runs in the season. So it's not to say that pitching and fielding aren't not important anymore, but it's rather that we see the value of these big-time hitters increase.
I have to agree with you. I think that in a league where we're seeing more and more starting pitchers leave after 4 or 5 innings, where in a few years ago we'd see how long can this pitcher go? Can he go 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, you see the longevity of them, especially in playoff games, increase. And now you see, as we've seen in the series between the Yankees and the Indians, people pulling their starters after 4 or 5 innings.
Like an eagerness to get to the bullpen.
Exactly, just because games are going to 8 and 9 runs apiece. So
I think it's also interesting to note that the leaders this year, guys like Stanton, Bellinger, Aaron Judge, they're all under 30. This isn't going to change anytime soon.
No,
this is going to be a trend next year and the year after that.
And much like the three-pointer kind of being the new standard in the NBA, I think the home run is going to find a new value with these new hitters.
I love that analogy. Yeah, it's changing the game. I love it. I agree. It's more
amazing.
exciting for the fans. It's more exciting to watch.
I mean, and a home run is always going to be more fun to watch than a strikeout.
I agree.
The NBA recently released their annual GM survey, which includes season predictions from all 30 NBA GMs. 21% of GMs said Karl Anthony Towns will have a breakout year, while 29% would choose Towns to be their franchise centerpiece. Combining these two questions, Matt, which player age 25 or under would you want to build your franchise around?
I'm all aboard the cat train, the Karl Anthony Towns train.
On.
I love him. I think that he's so versatile, especially in a league where we're seeing players 1 through 5 do everything, dribble, shoot the ball. He does all of that. And we're really seeing, not this year as much as previous years, we've seen him lead a team that's mostly his team, exception for Andrew Wiggins and maybe Ricky Rubio, but he's had his own team before.
But now you have Jimmy Butler and Jeff Teague in that, and you think about
and
how
make him even better.
But you think about how talented Karl Anthony Towns is, but then you say, okay, what if they get to the Western Conference playoffs? They're going to get eaten alive because now you have Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, and Paul George all on the Thunder, and then you have the Lakers.
Are you penalizing him for the success of the Western Conference?
I'm not, but I'm saying that his success with the franchise of the Timberwolves will be diminished by how talented the Western Conference is, and that's why I'm going with Kyrie Irving. And it's a little bit of a loophole because he's 25. But the Celtics are really doing my job for me. I mean, he has the most playoff experience out of any of these players. And he has a ring. He's eclipsing our guidelines, as I said, but he's hit a game-winning shot in the finals as well, as we saw in the 2016 final.
I want to see him do what Towns did in his first year or two, and I want to see him have his own team. The Celtics are Kyrie's team, but they're also Gordon Hayward's team to a lesser extent.
No, but not really, though. Gordon Hayward's kind of taking a back seat, rather, along with Al Horford, and you pair him with Kyrie along with new rookies like Jason Tatum, and him being on the Celtics alone has already elevated them to the #1 team in the NBA.
They're going to be exciting to watch, though, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Denny Hamlin has turned out of the fast lane to proclaim that NASCAR drivers should earn bigger contracts than TV stations that air their races. Competitive racing is a dangerous sport for sure, but should the drivers and pit teams earn the same amount of money as NBA or NFL players, Andrew?
I don't see why not, and it's due to the level of danger, of course, that we see drivers. I mean, it's their job to put their lives essentially in the hands of their cars and the safety and the success of the team and the pit, and kind of putting their safety in the pit team's hands. So I don't see why not. NASCAR isn't losing any money anytime soon.
I agree that it's a more dangerous sport, and for that reason they should be rewarded more. But I think this idea they're grossly underpaid is false. Because the average NASCAR driver is making $1 to $10 million a year, but NASCAR is also the sport that's most, centered on how much do you win versus lose, who are your sponsors, with cars having sponsorship on them and all that. So the average NASCAR driver is making $1 to $10 million a year, while the average pit crew member is making $600,000 a year. And we can't discredit that's a reasonable sum of money. They're not being grossly underpaid, although they're being paid less than other professional athletes. That's true.
Agreed, but I do think that for the level of danger that the drivers and the pit teams are putting themselves in when it comes to racing, and we've already seen lives lost, unfortunately.
I also don't think Denny Hamlin, who's one of the more successful NASCAR drivers, is at liberty to say, oh, we're being underpaid. maybe on behalf of his pit crew and other racers, but him himself.
And that's definitely a good thing, too. And you look at this, maybe it'll open up eyes for other people, such as trainers for NBA teams or doctors for NFL teams, to get paid more if they aren't being compensated.
Also,
so I
it's
think it's more of
important
an
to note.
activism thing.
It's important to
rather
note.
than
He
a
mentioned,
personal
TV stations. The NASCAR is the 4th most watched sport behind college football, the MLB and NFL, and that's why the MLB and the NFL players make more. I think is because it comes down to how watched is it, how many people are tuning in, and that's what drives sponsors and salaries.
I think either way, it's a good way to get the attention of the sponsors and whoever else they want to talk about.
I definitely agree.
Stay tuned as we look at the NHL and its new season of ice cold competition.